The base has dropped on December 17th here in Atlanta, Georgia. Soccer Down here is live for an Overreaction Monday edition. Jason Longshore, John Nelson here with you this morning. Jarrett Smith is lost in the ethers.
Present.
Hopefully he... Oh, there he is. He's here.
Ta-da!
He ran in right as the bell was ringing before roll started.
It's my best skill set.
Yeah, and also... If anybody, we're going to let you guys crowdsource this because I don't want to even try to explain it. If anybody can explain Cardi B and Offset to John, have at it. OSG Nelson on Twitter. Just go ahead and
Man,
give
that's
him
going to be an
rundown.
amazing thread.
Yes, and go ahead and copy Jarrett and I on it so we can just sit back and laugh.
Yeah.
But if anybody can give the rundown of the Cardi B Offset drama from the weekend to John, that would just be amazing.
Because... And full disclosure, being 407 years old,
that has nothing to do with it. That is a lame excuse.
I have not heard any Cardi B music ever. I assume she's a musician.
You have.
I have.
Trust me, you have. You've heard popular music in places you have been. You have heard Cardi B in the last probably year and a half. So it happens.
I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it. I couldn't pick her out of a random musical playlist.
Just try to explain it to John, please, so my head doesn't explode. That would be great.
You mean it already hasn't?
No, it hasn't yet. It's an Overreaction Monday. So what we're doing here today is twofold. We would love to hear from you guys who are listening on Twitter your overreaction in 2018 that you'd like to take back, and your overreaction as you look ahead to 2019, because that's only a couple of weeks away, which is crazy. And the transfer window opens in, 15 days? So things are going to get nutty if they haven't already when it comes to Major League Soccer, USL, the rest of the leagues in the United States, and beyond. It is a hectic time at the moment in a lot of different ways. So what are you overreacting about as you look ahead to 2019? I'll go ahead and start with an overreaction that I would take back, and it was mainly about the postseason with Atlanta United. I kept thinking that in order to get the best out of the players they had, they were going to have to play Julian Gressel at right wing back, and I kept coming back to that, waiting for it to happen. It never did, and it didn't need to. Twofold, because Julian, I thought, performed better than I expected in the middle, especially in the 5-3-2. The way it was designed at the end, where it was closer to a flat three or a flat triangle with Remedi, Nagbe, and Gressel. But also, Franco Escobar stepped up and gave you a lot going forward on that right side. You didn't have to get Gressel over there because Escobar was able to make things happen. Jarrett, what's something on your end that you overreacted about in 2018 that you would like to take back before we close out the year?
Man, do we want to knock on the door that is Orlando City one more time?
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Because, man, I thought Orlando City was gonna be. I thought Orlando City was going to be that team this year to cause problems, and they weren't. I was wrong. A lot of us were wrong.
Right there with you.
Yeah. Aside from that, reactions from 2018. Oh man. I blame injuries for it, but I had Tito Villalba as my dark horse MVP before the year. And I blame injuries for a lot of that. Also, Joseph Martinez just going on a legendary level run. But, man, I picked him to be dark horse MVP, and he ended the year as the best super sub this league might have ever seen.
That one's kind of out of your control.
Yeah, if he hadn't skied that ball in MLS Cup at the end, it puts that in the roof of the net. Which only two things were happening: one, he was going to put it in the roof of the net, or two, he was going to hit the cameraman, which he hit the fan cameraman. It happens.
And we know that individual too.
Yes, that stadium might have collapsed.
Yeah, if he had scored that to completely seal it, it would have been a little nutty at the Benz on that Saturday
night.
Quake.
I'm not too salty about that one because, again, you're right, that one's out of my control. But the big one for me is just, oh, how could I forget? Also San Jose. Yeah. San Jose and Orlando. I missed very badly on 2 of these, like horrifically.
Yeah, I mean Orlando. I think a lot of people expected them to be better. I did. I was right there with you with Orlando with the talent they brought in. It's still baffling how Jason Christ did not get anything out of this group and had them looking so just fragile going into the middle part of the season, and they fell apart after the loss to Atlanta in May. It was shocking. Never seen anything like that. John, what about you? What overreaction do you want to take back in 2018?
Toronto FC.
What was your overreaction about them?
I had them running the gauntlet in the East and getting toward the end of the discussion when it came to being the Eastern Conference representative. I had them making the playoffs. I had them high in the ladder.
But this is the same as Tito Villalba. Like, Toronto didn't just... You didn't pull a San Jose on Toronto and expect too much. Toronto had injuries at an epic level. Like, that's not your fault. That's not a bad take. Nobody could foresee 4 center backs being hurt at the same time. And a lot of people are when they talk about Toronto's season. I think people are trying to question Greg Vanney and trying to question just, oh, well, they made some big mistakes. No, they had every center back on the roster get hurt. And when Michael Bradley's having to play center back for you, you've got some serious problems. So you get a pass on that one.
All right. Then I guess my thought that LAG would be a part of the Western Conference playoff picture just because they finished 7th. Is that an overreaction that I want to take back?
I mean, it could be like an overreaction in the way that I think people thought the Galaxy would be further up the table earlier in the season. I mean, once we got into the middle, we kind of knew what they were, and 7th, 6th, that's not a huge gap. But earlier in the season when people were trying to say the Galaxy could be title contenders, that would definitely be an overreaction. I don't know if you were fully there or not.
No, I figured they would be a part of the discussion high up in the table in the Western Conference. I didn't think that they would make it to the last game of the year.
Yeah, definitely not that.
Then I guess I would go into the Orlando pile too, just as how horrifically, awfully bad, no good, very bad, horrible season that they had.
Yeah, it's really one of the more surprising things, and it for me, if I'm looking at managers and I'm going to interview Jason Christ, it's the first, second, and third question I have is what in the world happened here? Why would Justin Merrim say that he had no idea what he was supposed to be doing in your system, and why didn't you make changes to fix it? Like, those are serious questions that Jason Christ is going to have to answer going into his next job. So I have no idea. I honestly still can't figure it out. We knew they'd be frail defensively. You know, we all knew that. But when you have the leading assist man in the league over the last 2 years in Sasha Kljestan come in, you have Justin Merrim come in, who was an up-and-coming star. You bring in Josue Colman, and you expect him to be able to perform at a high level. You have Dom Dwyer, who's been one of the best goal scorers in this league over a long period of time. You should be able to get some results. So there's just really... Would they have been a title contender? No, because I think the defense wasn't there. But they absolutely should have been a playoff team, and they should not have been among the worst teams in the league, just based on the sheer talent. So these are things that Jason Christ is going to have to figure out what happened and why.
74 goals allowed, and then you look at both Minnesota United and San Jose, and they give up 71.
Well, like I said, the defense isn't a surprise. I mean,
no.
when you're going out and signing the guys that Orlando is signing as the year goes on, yeah, no surprise that the defense was bad. For me, it's more surprising that you weren't producing more on the attacking side. That's the part that doesn't really make any sense to me.
43 goals in 34 matches, so that's, 9 over 34 is like, $1.25-ish?
Yeah.
How about another overreaction? And this will hurt any Red Bulls fans listening. I thought Chris Armas was going to break the curse. I thought Chris Armas was not going to just cartoonishly get it wrong in the playoffs. And yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that was shocking to see their tactics both to start the first leg at Mercedes-Benz and then nothing at halftime to change it. That's maybe the more surprising one to me. I disagree with the tactics to start. I can somewhat understand wanting to conserve energy. You have a second leg pretty close. Okay. You can't press for 180 minutes completely without running out of gas. Sure. Totally get all that. But at halftime of that match, you have to make some changes because you're getting blown out off the field. And to just do nothing, that's a big mistake by Chris Armas.
And I've got one off the pitch that I just thought about.
What's that?
I thought Sacramento would get their stuff together and actually be a part of the discussion.
Yeah, I mean that would be an overreaction that you'd want to take back. They haven't. I don't think they still haven't. So they're still. I mean, I think they're part of the discussion, but they're serious questions because nothing has changed from them not getting in ahead of Nashville or Cincinnati. They still don't have enough money to support an MLS club in Sacramento right now, and that's something they're going to have to figure out if they want to get in.
And you sit there and you're at the front of the line for the longest time and the longest time and the longest time. And yeah, you're right there. And then all of a sudden just off the cliff and you haven't been able to come back.
It's a problem. We are getting some videos out there and we'll have to, video doesn't really translate here, but I will recommend going to check out our buddy Zlatan on the Twitters. Zlatan is making it clear that he is coming back to the LA Galaxy for
welcome back to
2019. No, he just tweeted, MLZ, I'm not done with you yet. So I guess it is now Major League Zlatan because, yeah, make the playoffs and then you can say these things, Zlatan.
Yeah, exactly.
Major League Zlatan because he set the goal scoring record in a single season. And then also set the record for most assists in a season and most game-winning goals in a season. Oh, wait, that wasn't him. Oh, this is awkward.
Yeah. They need a manager, too, and that's going to be another big issue. So Zlatan says he's coming back. He's not going to Milan. He's not going to Real Madrid. That one died pretty short. I don't know if anybody would want to go to Real Madrid at the moment. All the other rumors about possible European clubs, he is making it clear that he is coming back to LA to play with the Galaxy. I'm wondering if his contract has changed. I would assume that it has, because I would assume that he would have been throwing his weight around to get more money. And if it has, then somebody's got to go on the designated player side, because I just don't see any other way you're going to make it work. He was a max TAM player at $1.5 million. You had 3 designated players in both of the Dos Santos brothers and Roman Alessandrini. So stay tuned on other moves unless Zlatan is coming back for that 1.5 on the second year of his deal. Have to wait and see. But Zlatan Ibrahimovic is telling the world that he is coming back to MLZ in 2019. Yeah. There you go.
Child, please.
I mean, I don't know. Not my thing, not my style. I know it gets a laugh and a chuckle, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but whatever. It sells shirts, it sells tickets, it gets people excited. So have at it, Zlatan. Have fun. We're going to take a break, come back. We want your overreactions you want to take back from 2018 and your overreactions as you look ahead to 2019. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, Yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, December 17th, Overreaction Monday edition of the show. Taking your overreactions you want back from 2018 and your overreactions as you look ahead to 2019. Josh Eisenberg, friend of the show, has chimed in. What is his overreaction, John?
My biggest hashtag overreaction Monday is Rooney. I've never liked the guy since his red card in the World Cup. I thought he'd be a bust. He was a treat to watch this season, and I'm looking forward to more of hashtag El Senor Wayne in 2019.
El Senor Wayne, and we'll see if he gets his running buddy, Luciano Acosta, back, because Lucho is looking for some more money, and you can't really blame him here. Stephen Goff reported that he's under contract for 2019. They're trying to get a long-term deal done before the start of the season. He's out of contract at the end of 2019, no option at the end of the year. So if you go into the season without a new long-term deal, he could sign a pre-contract in the summer and leave on a free. DC is trying to avoid that, but Luciano Acosta's playing hard to get, as he should at this point in his career. This is a big opportunity for him to get paid, and get paid in a big way. So I wonder how successful Wayne Rooney would have been if he hadn't hit it off with Acosta so quickly on the field, because that combination was outstanding. And I didn't expect him to be a bust, and I made that pretty clear. I thought he would get them into the playoffs. I thought the way their schedule worked out, they'd have a good chance of getting into the playoffs, period, because of all the home games at the end. But Rooney coming in good form took them all the way to hosting a knockout round game, which I did not expect. I thought they would just get in the door. And he absolutely outperformed, I think, the general expectation. Even me, who had expectations for him and thought he could still play, I didn't know if he could play at this kind of complete level over that period of time. And we'll see how a whole campaign goes. You'd think it would be a little bit easier on him because it's not going to be quite as compressed, although if they compress the schedule, then he will get some of that at different points in the season. Be curious to see each year going forward how Rooney looks. When does Father Time completely catch up to him? I think he was misused at Everton, and I think that's a big part of why he didn't look good coming in.
When did you call it?
I called it on the record for anybody who was in the room when we did the live show for the Soccer in the Streets ATL Champions League draw, I believe in early June. And that was before Rooney, if I remember right. Might not have been. Might have been right after Rooney. I said they'd make the playoffs, but I didn't say they'd host a knockout round game. They went past what I thought, and people thought I was crazy. There was no way I thought that they were going to get to host a knockout round game.
But bottom line is, you said it was going to go down, and it went down. So definitely tipping my hat to you, sir.
It's just something you have to keep in mind, and that long stretch of home games at the end of a season, it always puts teams into the playoffs every time. Anytime it's happened, that team has made the playoffs. Even a situation like this that was extreme, they made the playoffs. Portland is going to have one that's going to be fairly extreme next year. I believe they're not going to get a home game until at least June. So they'll have that advantage in the second half of the season where they'll be playing at home primarily.
Derek Creighton comes in this morning. He says his overreaction of the 2019 season is we need to bring a manager in before Christmas. A manager needs some kind of input on the team.
Yeah, they need input. They're not going to sign the players themselves, so that's one thing to keep in mind. It sounds like, just judging from the way this club operates and the way the things are out in the media, it sounds like conversations have been had with at least Schelotto and probably a few others. And signings, whether they're being looked at, whether they're being discussed, are probably along the lines of some of those conversations. You know, you kind of know basically what kind of manager you're looking at here because they're going to have to fit into an existing group. You know what you might want to upgrade in the existing group. So you're not going to – I think it would be a bigger issue if you were a bad team and trying to rebuild. Then, yeah, you want the manager in like Almeida as soon as possible. But in this case, you're not going to make any changes that are going to dramatically rebuild this team no matter what. So I don't think it's as critical. I think it's important in the sense that you want them to get adjusted as quickly as possible. But I'm not overreacting about it yet. I don't think it's as big of a deal because you have such a solid core coming back, and any manager coming in knows what they're walking into because of that identity that's been established over the first 2 years. Any changes that would be made between now and the new manager coming in would just complement that identity and not change it. So it's not going to be any dramatic issue. Now, the one thing which happens a lot is you see managers come in, and a lot of times they want to bring in a player or two that they know that they've worked with that fit exactly what they want to do and can help transmit that to the group. That's a big reason why you'd like to get somebody in early, because if you then also need to bring in a player that manager wants to work with them, you need more time to do it. And training camp's in like 35 days or something at this point.
Nathan Pugh says with 6 potentially, Atlanta will win at least one piece of silverware in 2019. Hashtag overreaction Monday.
It's doable. Yeah, I mean, there's 6 trophies that the team could contend for in 2019, and you'd think that they'd get one. I mean, Campeones Cup is going to be one game. So, okay, that's 50-50. And it will be against either Club America or the Clausura winners in the spring of 2019. If Club America wins both, then it'll be Atlanta United and Club America at the Benz in August, which will be nuts. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that it's Club America and Santos playing off for it. It's not. Santos played Tigres in the last Campeón de Campeones tournament, one-off, and that winner goes into the Campeones Cup. That was last July. So it is the Apertura winner from 18 and the Clausura winner from 19 playing in July. Winner comes to Atlanta for the Campeones Cup in August. So that's a one game. That's a 50-50. Champions League will be difficult. MLS Cup is always difficult. Supporters Shield difficult. Open Cup difficult, as we've seen. Club World Cup, you got to get there first. So there's 6 trophies on the line. I don't know if it would be a failure if you don't win one, but yeah, I would think that Atlanta United is positioned to win at least one trophy in 2019. What do you think, Jarrett?
You think you got at least one in you. It's like they told us after the parade. We got one more in us at least. Good, because you're going to have an abundant number of opportunities to win some sort of hardware. I think that also the use of the second team and the steps that we saw a lot of those guys take, and not just Carlton's growth, but, John Gallagher's coming along, Oliver Shannon coming along. I'd be interested if Shannon, even though he's technically out of contract, if he doesn't sign a contract with the twos, I think your U.S. Open Cup bid is going to be stronger as the years go on, because now you have that second team where guys are getting playing time, where they're getting competitive playing time at the USL level, and then you have to call them up for a busy schedule and ask them to play in U.S. Open Cup. They're going to be ready for that. They're going to be comfortable in the system, and they're going to be able to just jump in and compete.
Yeah, let's talk about second teams real quick before we go to break. John and I were wondering before we got the show started, what is DC United doing with their second team, Loudoun United? So far, it's nothing.
Yep.
They have not announced a manager. They have not announced any players. They haven't really done anything yet. So they're going to have a rough year in year one. There's just no other way around it.
Just mentions, and literally what I just did was chase after Loudoun United in quotes in the news section in Google. Top story, season owner announced. That's it. No players, no coaches, no nothing. Black and Red United did something about what's going on, but it was only about the season opener being announced. So far more questions having to do with Loudoun United than answers, and it is mid-December. So they got that going for them.
I mean, if you're not worried about that team being successful, and you can put that in air quotes because success can be measured a bunch of different ways with a second team. If that doesn't matter to you, then fine. Then, okay, it's just a spot for guys to get playing time when they're not playing with the first team, and you got to sign a few guys on that roster too, and done. That's it. Solid. If you're trying to do something with it, you're not going to be able to in 2019. Unless you have things done that we just don't know about yet, which absolutely could be the case. You might have the manager in-house. You might have players, agreements signed, and these haven't been announced yet. All that could be the case. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt so far, but it's not an inspiring start for Loudoun United.
No.
In a time when it's not. Again, you're not expecting Loudoun United. If you're DC, you're not expecting Loudoun United to win the USL Championship. That doesn't really matter to you, especially in year one. But to be able to do what you need it to do, I don't think they've prepared to do that yet. And we'll have to see what this entails and how things change as we go. Because to not have any players, manager, anything in place yet, it's a little surprising. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they have an academy that they can sign guys out of. They have guys on their first team that will be playing in the second team at times or often. We know all this. So we'll see what happens with Loudoun United, but I'm a little confused as to why they haven't done anything as of yet. Let's take a break. More of your overreactions from 2018 you want back. More of your overreactions looking ahead to 2019. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath.
He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties.
He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. Overreaction Monday, December 17th edition. Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jarrett Smith with you this morning as we go through your overreactions that you want back from 2018 alongside your overreactions as you look ahead to 2019. What else do we have in the timeline, John?
Shiva says, my overreaction from 2018 was being nervous at every game, especially playoffs of whether we're going to win or lose or collapse after a lead. I want to try to go into 2019 enjoying the moments in the actual game more than being nervous about the results.
Yeah, I would hope that those nerves are kind of gone after the way the team performed in the postseason. And honestly, the whole narrative about Atlanta United can't beat big teams, it really felt forced to me because when you go back and look at it, it wasn't a situation where Atlanta United failed to compete against big teams or wasn't even getting results against big teams. Atlanta United was learning how to win as a group, and that's not generally something that happens this fast. So I think it was an unfair thing to say, and I think some of that concern, yes, the Atlanta sports past, I think played into some of that and played into some of those nerves. I think it did for a lot of people. I think it was a little unfounded, and I get it because it's new and you haven't seen them do it yet, but I felt like they were moving in the right direction. The Toronto game at the end of the season was a different animal altogether because of how they looked nervous in that one, and how that was also the first game where a trophy's going to be handed out at the end of it if you get the result you need. I think that played into it. But other games where it was, oh, well, they haven't beaten Portland. Well, they hadn't lost to Portland either. They haven't beaten Seattle. Well, they haven't lost to Seattle either. Kansas City. Well, they lost to Kansas City in a game they were dominating, and then Brad Gazan was late on a tackle and got sent off, and you still had chances to at least get a result there with 10 men. Not nearly as bad, I think, as some people tried to paint it as. But at the end of the day, Atlanta showed, and I think it took that time for them to learn, that they could do this. And they could do it after building an identity. They could do it playing a little differently than their traditional identity in the postseason. And then against Portland, they showed that, hey, if you're going to give us possession, we can hurt you this way too. We've done it for 2 years now, and we can do it again. To be able to float back and forth between different styles, different philosophies, different tactics, that's really impressive, and that's not something that generally happens after just 2 years.
Also on the board, okay, Jarrett, let's start with you with this one with Drew Gano. With PT and in quotation marks coming to Atlanta and no DP slots or buy down possible, what happens if Atlanta United doesn't get an offer for Miggy in the range the front office has said it needs to sell him? Loan Barco or PT? Hashtag overreaction Monday.
Can I clarify one thing real quick, Jarrett, before you jump in?
Go ahead.
If people, it's important because if people didn't see Felipe Cardenas's posts, Clos Continental is a radio show in Argentina that had PT Martinez on, and the tweet from them, along with tweets from Juan Arango, which translated the interview, said that PT specifically said Atlanta United by name. And Felipe said that did not happen. Felipe heard the interview and said that he did not mention Atlanta United by name. Everything was just United States. It was vague. That's something to keep in mind here. I'm not saying that all the talk it means that he's not coming. I'm just saying that interview, I think some people took it as, oh, yeah, he's definitely coming. I did when I saw the quotes. But he did not specifically say Atlanta United in that interview, and that's a really important notation to keep in mind.
Yeah, so here's the thing: they're going to make the right business decisions for them. It's not going to be flying by the seat in terms of trying to figure out who's coming, who's going. They'll have a plan for that. They've been having discussions for that. They'll keep having discussions for really all the positions. And as far as, having too many spots, you only got to be roster compliant at a certain date. You can play Wild Wild West outside of roster compliance for a while. So maybe there is a world in which, if Pity Martinez is coming, that you have Pity here while Miguel's here. That might be before you potentially sell Miguel Almiron. And that's fine. You don't have to be roster compliant right now. You just don't.
Yeah, they could be on the roster at the same time, but it's generally the Thursday before the weekend openers that you have to be roster compliant. You can only have 3 designated players on your roster. You're not going to buy PT and convince him to come here and then loan him somewhere. That's not going to happen, so you can rule that one out completely. Could you loan a Barco? Yeah, he would be the one that would make more sense. But I don't see any way that Miguel Almiron is back here. I don't think you're already pursuing PT Martinez if you don't know with a 95% certainty that you're going to get the offer that you want for Miguel Almiron. I don't think you're already looking ahead if you haven't made that move yet. This club doesn't really do that. They're very strategic and planned out. So, could you see the announcement of PT Martinez coming in happen before the announcement of a transfer of Miguel Almiron? Sure, that could happen. But I don't think you're going to find a way for PT Martinez and Miguel Almiron to be on this team together. I just don't see it.
Joe Bost, good morning. And I think he was doing his best Bruce Buffer impression as he was starting his tweet. Hashtag overreaction Monday. His overreaction for the year after the Houston debacle that Atlanta United would slide back in the pack. Thank God we did an exclamation point. Hashtag MLS Cup champions.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought that. There were definite questions after that Houston game because it was the worst we had seen Atlanta United look ever. They didn't look like that in 2017. They didn't look like that in the preseason, to be honest. So that was a complete anomaly, and it definitely freaked people out. But they bounced back really quickly and showed their quality. Other losses during the season, you didn't really have that type of feeling until the Toronto loss. And the same reactions were there that, man, things are not as good as we thought they were. And the team was able to answer that. So, Houston, you definitely were not alone in that one.
Tafka TLC says, overreactions, I want back 1. Orlando would be very good.
Yeah, a lot of people were on that boat.
Yeah. 2, during September, I believe we would win the Shield or nothing at all. Overreaction I'm sticking to. Transfer fees are not required to be amortized, and there's a mathematical way for both McGee and PT at soccer down here.
I don't see the way for Miggy and PT. Look, I think the big thing as we're going through all this and you're trying to find a way to do it, I think you're forgetting that Miguel Almiron wants to go to Europe. This is something you have to keep in mind. You're not going to keep him here. You're not going to bring him in and say, yeah, we're going to help you get to Europe, and then, oh, no, we're not. He is under contract. That is your fallback. If the offers aren't there, then it's a different conversation. But there's been a lot of talk about offers. I think you're going to see him go. And you don't want, if there's an offer that is good and he wants to go, you don't want to keep him here when he doesn't want to be here and he wants to go test himself in Europe. It's not that he doesn't want to be here because he doesn't love Atlanta. I think he does. He wants to test himself in Europe. This is the time for him to do that. If there's a good offer to do it, I think he's going to go. And no matter how you could finesse numbers and things and try to make it work, I think that's going to be the reality that you're going to have to deal with.
Tyler Rice, hashtag overreaction Monday. I finished hashtag Sunderland Till I Die, and it's one of the best soccer docs I've seen in a while. A rare look behind the scenes of a club with tons of history, but has hit rock bottom, and the diehard fans that continue to support the club. Sunderland right now is in a bit of a promotion battle when it comes to League Two, I think.
Believe so.
So, yeah, Sunderland really hit rock bottom a couple of years ago under Ellis Short with their owner. And I would also recommend, if you haven't seen the All Access Manchester City on Amazon Prime, to go view that, because that is true binge watching, and once you start, you will not finish until the bitter end of the whole thing.
Sunderland is currently third in League One.
Trying
to get back to the championship. It shows. I mean, Sunderland, not that long ago in the Premier League, it can. That's that promotion relegation negative side, is sometimes teams really struggle to come back. And we'll have to see if Sunderland can get all the way back. Leeds is trying to get back this year. They haven't been back in a while. That was a team that was in the Champions League late stages less than 20 years ago. So this is the dark side of it. It can be a problem. It's a great fan base. It's a great historical club. But these are the challenges that can come up with that. And we'll have to see if they can find their way back.
Jeb Hart with a question to the floor. Do player bonuses for winning MLS Cup count towards the cap? And if so, do they count in the season in which the Cup was won, or do they carry forward?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it would make sense for them to count in the season that it's won, because if you go over the cap in that season, it's at the end of the season. So there's no punishment. I don't think they count because of that. It doesn't make much sense. If for some reason player bonus or winning the Cup would trigger things in a contract for the next season, like in terms of terms, maybe. Now, you also have to look at it two different ways. Not every player has bonuses in their contract for winning MLS Cup. Some do, some don't. Prize money for winning MLS Cup is not this. That's a completely separate thing. That's not going to affect the cap. So if you have a bonus in your contract for winning MLS Cup, it wouldn't make sense to count in the year that the Cup's won. If it counts, it would have to be in the next year. But I don't know if it will count. I don't know how that's going to work exactly. We'll have to get some of the deeper level MLS salary cap just geniuses, because I don't know how to manage that part. I don't think you have capologists in this league. I don't know. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. But it couldn't be the year that it's won, because if you're out of cap compliance now, it doesn't mean anything.
Then Frank Marrow with a couple. 2018, his overreaction says 2018 was easy. Barca will be a team changer. 2019, easier. PT will be better than Almiron.
That's a bold one on PT. He's different. If he's the guy, he's a different kind of player. I think it does make it a little bit easier that you're going to see a new manager and a new system, so it's not going to be a straight-up like-for-like comparison and replacement. Barco in 2018, yeah, I was there with you. I thought he would have fit in. I thought you would be looking at a team with a front four of Almiron, Barco, Villalba, and Martinez that would lead the way. We barely saw that due to injuries and just stuff that happened and a change in system. I don't even know if we did see that lineup, Jarrett. We might have a handful of times, but that was what we all thought coming in.
A handful, maybe a handful of times we saw
a handful might be generous. It honestly might have been like once or twice.
Yeah. And it's here's the thing, universe still worked out in your favor, even though you didn't really see that by the end of it. Because I remember, while everybody was injured, Tito was injured, Barco was injured, you're trying to figure out how this is going to line up. I kept doing let's keep calm. 4 horsemen will line up, and we'll see how this looks. And by the end of it, I don't think anyone cared anymore. I think everyone was just kind of realizing, okay, what they're doing is working, so we're just going to go with what's working.
Oh yeah, by the end, there was no need to change it. That's definitely
but it's kind
true.
It's kind of a silly irony to it, though. I mean, that we waited so long for that, and by the end of it, we're like, no, don't change a thing.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. You never truly know.
Jeb Hart with a follow-up question. Can you buy a DP slot like you can trade international slots? I know. Yeah.
Nope. You can buy a third one because you can have up to 3, but you can't have more than 3. So, no, don't even go down that road, Jeb. Sorry. Not happening. And the reason international slots are like that is because you have a finite number of international slots in the league. So it's not necessarily the same thing. If you have a team that you don't need international slots, you can just move them along. But you can't. You only have a certain number of international slots in the league, period, and they're divvied up between the teams. Designated players, you can have 2. They added the ability to buy a third one. The teams that don't buy a third one, the money that teams paid to buy that third one goes into a pool and then gets divvied out as allocation money. So that's it, though. You're limited to 3. You can't go get an extra one because you can afford it.
Then Josh Eisenberg has 2, and his first one, he says, hopefully it's not an overreaction Monday I don't need to take back in 12 months. Barco's Atlanta's MVP in 2019.
I mean, that doesn't. If he isn't, it doesn't mean that the team has failed. I think that's going to be hard because he will be away with Argentina's U20s at some points. I mean, he was just called into their U20 camp. You would have to think he'll be part of that U20 squad as you prepare for a U20 World Cup in 2019. I think Atlanta United would support him participating in that. It'd be great exposure for the club with Argentina's U20 national team. So he will miss time. So that's why I would probably lean to no, he won't be the team's MVP because he'll be away on international duty, which is a good thing for him, for the team, and for the league as a whole. So I think it works out.
Then a follow-up from Josh. He says, is there any word on TAM or GAM changes for 2019?
No, and they'll tell us a week after it's been approved. So we don't know. Nothing's changed. There were rumors early on about increases in TAM. I don't think you'll see any GAM changes. There's really nothing to change. Nothing that's been discussed in changing. But could you see an increased allocation of TAM in 2019? Sure. They've done that plenty of times, but nothing's been approved or announced as of yet.
And then Jared Ian Lundberg says that GBS is under contract till January 1st, so don't go rushing things. Trust our front office. They've done a decent job so far, following it up with a winking emoji.
I want to see how everyone reacts when everybody gets swerved and it's not GBS here.
Could happen.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone at all. He could come to MLS and not come to Atlanta. I had this debate the other day with somebody on the air that MLS is kind of pushing in new grounds beyond Atlanta. It's not just Atlanta signing Tata. Almeida's out in San Jose now. You could have more clubs decide we're going to go after the aggressive, bigger name managers who have had success outside of the United States. I mean, so GBS could come here and just not come to Atlanta. It might not happen this year. Yeah. I mean,
no,
and
it'll happen this year. I'll definitely, and if I'm wrong, I will take the overreaction back. There's no way that GBS goes anywhere other than MLS in 2019. He's not going back to Boca.
You don't think he gets it out for a year?
No, he's not going to do that. At his age, there's no reason to. There's nothing that he needs to do that for. He's going to either come to Atlanta or he's going to come to the Galaxy. I think it's one or the other. Those are the two options. The thing about his contract not ending till his contract is up December 31st. They're not playing any more games. So, I don't think you have to wait to talk to him then. It's already been announced by the club that he's not coming back to Boca, so they're not going to say, no, you can't have these conversations for 2 weeks. So things will be happening. You could see an announcement before December 31st for sure. You could see an announcement right on that day if you want to. There's lots of different ways it could go down. I don't think that plays into it too much. It's more about the LA Galaxy are going to be getting desperate. Looks like they've lost out on Caleb Porter. Looks like they lost out on Greg Berhalter. Looks like they lost out on all their options. What are they going to do? So even if Atlanta wants him, if they don't have a deal done, the Galaxy might be desperate and throw stupid money at Schelotto. And, I mean, there's a price. There's a number you have to make a decision on. I think Atlanta has more candidates than Guillermo Barros Schelotto, so I don't know if it is 100% that he is going to end up in Atlanta. The Galaxy's desperation plays into that for me. They might overpay because they have to.
How many folks have been linked to Atlanta United since Tata announced that his contract?
$11 billion. I mean,
that
we're not going to go through them all. It's linked and realistic are two different things. So it's just Atlanta's got options. I think the Galaxy are down to Schelotto as their option. So if they make a crazy offer, if there's not something already done, they might have to. I'm really curious to see what they do, because if they don't get him, what direction do they go?
Yeah.
It's very un-Galaxy-like to be in this situation.
But you've got Zlatan coming back, so all is well.
On the other hand, it's very 2018 Galaxy-like.
This is even past that to me, because you went out and you got Zlatan. And you had a year where you were talked about a lot. This feels different because you're failing to get who you want. You know, you didn't get Berhalter, who had played for you. You didn't get Porter after you had him at courtside at a Lakers game, and that's a huge embarrassment. If Porter goes to Columbus, as everyone is saying is all but done, after being spotted at courtside at a Lakers game. Ooh, that's embarrassing if you're the Galaxy. So you got to answer back to that embarrassment pretty quick. We'll see. We're going to take a quick break so we can wrap up hour number 1. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Final segment, hour number 1, Soccer Down Here, December 17th, Overreaction Monday edition. What else do we have on the Overreaction Monday topics, John?
This qualifies. 4-card Ahmed says my overreaction is Andrew Carlton will be mad and getting suspended for the final on parade that he doesn't want to play here anymore.
That's a big assumption, 4-card. If he's mad, that's on him. I mean, let's be real here. He did something that the club did not care for And I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I haven't seen screenshots. I don't do Snapchat. I don't know what happened. But he did something that was serious enough for that to happen. So if he's mad and doesn't want to play here anymore, that would be on him. And I think it'd be a very bad decision. I think it'd be a very bad decision at this point because I don't know of another club that would bring him in and give him what he might be looking for in that scenario. He's not a guarantee to play a lot with the first team next year. He still has to earn his time. He still has some questions that he has to answer. That's the thing about this club, and that's the thing about where American soccer is going in general and MLS is going. And Tata Martino even kind of mentioned this a little bit with his exit interview of sorts with Doug Robertson at the AJC that was posted over the weekend. He talked about wanting to see, more teams and the academy be incentivized more. So you see the academy be used more and be a bigger part of the development of the league. The balance to that is the players have to be good enough to get that time. And Andrew has shown lots of good flashes, but right now, as you go into 2019, if you come back with Joseph Martinez, with Ezequiel Barco, with Tito Villalba, with either Pity Martinez or Miguel Almiron, Andrew's not starting over those guys. So that's a valid thing to talk about, but the overreaction in the sense that he would be mad and not want to play here anymore, I mean, one, he's under contract. Two, he would need to look in the mirror at what he did that upset the club. So it's part of the things a young player goes through, Jarrett. I mean, we see it in all sports where young players make mistakes as they're learning how to be professionals, and it's how you bounce back from that defines who you are.
Yeah, don't take a lot all as hating on Andrew Carleton or wagging a finger too condescendingly at him. I mean, look, young player made a mistake. He's not the first. He's not the last. That happens. It's how you bounce back, and you got to show how you bounce back, and a lot of that comes down to how you handle it in terms of maturity. One of the reasons you saw some of these guys get homegrown deals, it's not just raw talent that gets you a homegrown offer. If you're a homegrown player, I think you also have to look at the maturity of said player emotionally in how you expect them to handle such a big situation, such as playing for an MLS club at a young age. He has shown them in the past at some point that he can handle this in terms of maturity. Now, he's got to prove that again, and I think he can. I'd very much like this to be a bump in the road of where we go, oh, remember that time Carlton missed MLS Cup? Yeah, that sucked. And then he bounced back and everything was hunky-dory and fine and good. That's on him right now, I think, to go out there and prove that that he can put it behind him and do it. I think he absolutely can. And I don't think this should be the defining point of his career. And if then it's because he made it that way, as far as I'm concerned, unless we just don't know something. But if it's something so simple as you Snapchatted, you were out when you shouldn't have been, that's not a career ender for me.
No, I don't think the punishment has come off like a career ender either. So
no, I think it's a matter of he's in charge. He's in charge of the reclamation, his own reclamation project.
Yeah. We'll get more into it and other overreactions on the other side of the break. Stay with us for hour number 2 after this.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Hour number 2, Soccer Down Here, December 17th. Overreaction Monday. Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jarrett Smith with you. And Jarrett, yes?
You want to break a news sounder?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, do it.
Sounding.
Let me know when I'm clear.
Breaking news from Jarrett Smith.
Per press release from North Carolina FC, it is official. North Carolina FC selects former U.S. national team coach Dave Sarakin as new head coach.
It's a good hire.
We're thrilled to welcome Dave as a new head coach. Said Kurt Johnson, Dave is a highly respected leader for both club and country at every stop during his career. It knows what it takes to grow a club, develop world-class talent, and win. This is a huge moment for everyone that loves North Carolina Football Club and soccer in the state of North Carolina.
Definitely a good spot for Sarakin, and it's a good hire for North Carolina FC and shows a lot of ambition, I think, on the North Carolina FC side of things. So Dave Sarakin will be in the USL Championship in Cary, North Carolina with the Oaks. It's a good move. I like it.
Yeah, I feel like I'd heard this bantered about for the last week, but hadn't heard anything confirmed. So good on him. Going out there and making it happen.
And bantering about stuff, I'll reply to WDE_Mitchell, who said, I thought I read Porter to Galaxy was done last week. This is why you have to be careful about these things, because then it was reported that Porter was to Columbus. Porter has not held up a scarf yet, so there are questions, but things move quickly. He was at courtside of Lakers Heat, LeBron and D. Wade, Caleb Porter, Chris Klein, higher-ups from the Galaxy. It's all like, it's a done deal. Then it comes out, well, no, maybe not. Looks like it's going to be Columbus. And we're all like, what?
Whoops.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We do our best to keep you posted on the rumors that are out there and also try to make it clear when it is rumors, because there's lots of those this time of year.
Who said anything about rumors?
Yeah, who said anything about rumors? Let's see. We have 2 coaching thoughts here.
Okay.
First one's from Tyler Rice on his Overreaction Monday. He says, I'll be fine if it's not GBS, just please not Alan Pardue.
Not the way I would want to see it go, but if it is Alan Pardue, he would be he would have a resume among the best ever to work in this league. And that's one thing you do have to keep in mind here, whether you like the teams he's been with or like his work in said teams. You haven't seen managers with that type of resume come into this league before. So I don't think it's going to be Alan Pardue, but if it is, let's not throw too much shade just yet.
Then Josh Eisenberg says, please at LA Galaxy, please, and then the GIF of Herrera.
That would be a good one, and those rumors are out there. Herrera could end up there. It's definitely possible. I don't know if he is angling for a move away from Club America. Don't know if he's going to want more money, and they say no, not so much. Not sure, but yeah, he'd be a guy you'd love to see in the league, and he'd make a lot of sense in LA. It'd be a bold move for the Galaxy if they could pull it off.
And I would just love to see his absolute hair on fire on the on the touchline at MLS. I think it would be an absolute treat and a half.
All that's great, but the only time it really matters is when you're winning. And
True.
That's something that he has done. So, when you're doing that and you're not winning, it's adios, see ya, you're making a fool of yourself. When you're doing that and you're winning, then it's character.
Because last night, didn't he have another stellar double-fisted arms up and down movement and a half last night?
Yeah, they won a title.
That made the rounds.
He should have. I mean, that's what you do. So it's completely fine. He just maybe is a little extra emotional on the sideline. That's fine. Yeah, that's not what makes him a good candidate for the Galaxy. He's a very good manager, period. And that's what would be a good fit for this league going forward, and that would be the one. If you're trying to bounce back from the embarrassment of a manager saying no after the whole, let's make sure that Caleb Porter spotted at courtside of the Lakers game because we're about to sign him, and then he says no, Herrera would be a guy that you could bounce back with quickly, and everybody would forget about Caleb Porter real fast.
Herrera versus Bielsa. Make it happen in my life on a Sunday night in MLS.
Oh, that would be tremendous. To the topic that we had at the end of hour number 1, Josh also says, hopefully Carlton can see what Barco went through and get back to training to prove himself.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. Let's make it clear on Andrew Carlton. A couple things that I think have gotten lost in the shuffle. Suspended for the final. I don't think he was going to be in the 18 for the final. I don't think that was going to happen. So that's one. I don't think he is out partying, as has been rumored, and Snapchatting about it if he is going to be in the 18 for the final. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he knew he was not going to be in the 18 and made a stupid decision to Snapchat about something that he shouldn't have. I think that's what it comes down to. So that's one thing I want to say, because those are two very different things. You're going to play in the final the next day and you get caught out partying versus you're not going to be in the 18 and your season is over and you get caught out partying. Those are two very, very, very different things. So let's make that part clear. Two, it is about the response. It is about how you bounce back. That's the key thing here. So he made a mistake. He was punished by the team, and if he did what has been alleged and he was caught out partying the night before the final, that's a bad look for the team. It's a bad look for him. You have to be punished. It's very severe punishment, but it would have been the same punishment if they had lost. So, not being there on the final day, well, if you lose, you don't have a parade, you're still punished. If you win and you have the parade, you're still punished, so you're not going to be part of it. You have to bounce back from this if you're Andrew Carlton. You made a mistake. Hopefully you have learned from it, and hopefully you can get these things right going forward. That's the key going forward.
Okay, Jarrett. Championship Trains has come in this morning. 2018. Hashtag MLS narrative, I take it back. 2019. No expectations, just going to enjoy however it goes. We have our big trophy, and that will tide me over for years as long as we remain entertaining.
Well, that was easy. We all had fun. That's what's important. And we all learned something along the way on this journey. So,
which was?
I don't know. I wasn't listening. It's the old hitchhikers. Times like this, I'd listen to what my mother had told me. What did she say? I don't know. I wasn't listening. Hey, whether or not the MLS narrative rears its head again is beyond our control. All we can do is just enjoy the time that we have. And I think that's where we're at right now. Everyone's just enjoying this. And I think Trains has the right mindset. Just go into next year. Just enjoy that first championship out of the way. Have fun next year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't think hashtag MLS narrative was completely off. There are things about hashtag MLS narrative, which Trains pointed out in a very funny way quite often. So, and to take it a step further, there are MLS narratives that get started and get out there, like Zlatan for MVP. No. That should not be happening. That is a narrative that is created by the league, and that happens sometimes. But MLS narrative and that everything's fixed, no. We're not in that category anymore. The black helicopters have left the scene.
Man, if only, Zlatan had, I don't know, shown up on the last day of the year.
He still wouldn't have won MVP.
Just a thought.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Oh, no, I don't think so either. But the guy they tried to snake the trophy out from showed up in the playoffs when his team needed him and did not slide away.
One thing, too, to keep in mind, MVP voting was done before the final week of the season. So
I know.
Postseason didn't matter. Petty. Oh, no, I know, but some people don't know that, and that needs to be clear, which is one reason is because it's stupid. The MVP voting should not be done before the regular season is over, period. It just shouldn't, even though, is the last week going to change anything? If you have a very close race, it could. This one you didn't. I think it was obvious that Joseph Martinez was your MVP all year long because of the records he set. But MVP voting happened the week before the finale, which is dumb, and that needs to change.
Tony Jabroni, my overreaction Monday is at #LAFC. After separating ties with their USL affiliate, they won't have the necessary depth, which proved valuable for other teams in MLS. They will finish outside of the playoffs if they do not find a solution.
I don't know if the USL affiliate is going to be the thing that puts them outside the playoffs. The lack of a backline and defense is what's going to put them out of the playoffs if they don't fix it. These are the big questions that have to get sorted out for them. Laurent Simon is gone. Walker Zimmerman could be gone. You don't have any center backs. You never had a six. Mark Anthony Kaye did a very good job replicating what a six should do, but then he got hurt and you had nothing else. These are things that Bob Bradley has to fix going forward. Benny Feilhaber going to be gone. He's out of contract. There are questions about LAFC that are even beyond the depth part. I do agree that teams that have a USL relationship, whether it's their own team or a strong affiliate, have more depth and are better positioned to have depth. I think LAFC's problems and questions that I have about them going into 2019 are bigger than that.
They're going to have a lot. I think they're going to have a lot of pressure on them next year, especially after Atlanta wins it in year two, where LAFC, really kept pace with what Atlanta did in year one. I think there's going to be pressure for them to say, hey, look at what Atlanta did in year two. You paced their record in year one. Can you top what they did in year two? Doesn't mean it's fair as a question, but I think it's going to be there.
It could be, but right now, you look at the roster, you're not in the same position as Atlanta was coming into year two. What did Atlanta have to upgrade in a big way from 17 to 18? Honestly, nothing. You lost Jamil Assad. You lost Carlos Carmona as big contributors. Anton Walks as a slightly lesser contributor. You added Franco Escobar. You added Darlington Nagbe. You added Ezequiel Barco. You added Eric Remedi in midseason. You went from strength to strength. LAFC, you lost both your center backs that you started your first year with. You've lost Benny Feilhaber, who was one of your leaders in year one. There are some serious questions about this team going into 2019, and they're going to have to get it right.
And then looking at everybody else like that, I want to see, that to me, when you were discussing LAFC, the first name that popped into my head was Walker Zimmerman for things that have the big question mark over my head. But then I guess that contributes to the whole backline discussion in general. It's just they got to fix things. And do we have an update on Zimmerman possibly to go back and hang out with Oscar Pereja, or is that still just there in play as a topic of conversation?
It's a rumor. It's silly season. There's lots of them. It's out there.
we are officially caught up on the Twitter. So if anybody wants to let us know what their overreactions are, use the hashtag and reach out to us at Soccer Down Here on the Twitters. And let's see, social media, soccerdownhere.net. Facebook page is Soccer Down Here. And Instagram is Soccer Down Here as well. Did I miss anything?
No, that nailed it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get into more of those rumors that are out there on the other side. There's some interesting rumors of players being linked to clubs that maybe you wouldn't expect. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, December 17th edition. Silly season is completely, truly upon us now, and there's lots of rumors out there from South America, links to Major League Soccer clubs. Let's run through those real quick, and there's a couple other odd ones. Real Salt Lake linked to Herman Caño, 30-year-old striker from Argentina. Big-time goal scorer who has had somewhere between 20 and 30 goals in all competitions for Independiente Medellin in Colombia. Developed at Lanús. He's played in Mexico with Pachuca and León. He's valued at nearly $3 million. It appears he's out of contract going into 2019. So Real Salt Lake might get a great deal on a guy out of contract, not have to pay a transfer, and get that goal scorer that they've been looking for. That would be a massive move for Mike Petke and the bunch in Utah. New England is linked to a player from Independiente Medellin as well, Juan Fernando Caicedo, 29 years old. It'd be their second Caicedo on the roster, which could get a little confusing for Brad Feldman and crew in New England. He had 11 goals in 27 matches in 2018. He's valued at $2 million. Lots of links with him going to the Revs. Columbus have signed Robinho. Not that Robinho, a different Robinho, a younger Robinho, 23 years old. You're not signing Robinho for $250,000 now, I don't think. I don't even know what Robinho is doing these days, the original Robinho. I don't know if he's still thinking about playing or if he is retired or don't know. There's a few Robinhos out there, it appears.
OG
Robinhos. He's playing in Turkey at Sivasspor.
We just need people to use. Just y'all get some new nicknames, please.
Yeah,
or start using Roman numerals.
Yeah, there's a few. Man, there's a whole bunch of Robinhos. So Columbus is signing a Robinho, who is 23 years old, and it looks like they're getting him for $250,000. So stay tuned. That'll be lots of fun for everybody to understand in Ohio. Cincinnati is linked to Chilean attacking midfielder Matias
Robinho
Fernandez.
2, Electric Boogaloo.
Pretty much. The movie was on over the weekend, too, and I watched it from start to finish because it's amazing.
Attaboy.
Matias Fernandez, attacking midfielder from Chile. He's the captain at Necaxa in Liga MX. 32 years old. He's linked to Cincinnati. That would be a really good signing for them. You get a veteran pulling the strings in midfield. That was one of the positions, as we've seen this team come together, that I had questions about. Was it going to be Al-Badawi? Was it going to be Ledesma? If you get Fernandez, you're in good shape, and then you have Al-Badawi and Ledesma as options off the bench. Ledesma can play out wide as well. That would be a great move for Cincinnati. That'd be a really smart move for them. Chicago is linked to Matias Campos Toro, a left back from Chile, 29 years old. He's played in Spain and Italy. Great CV on him. He's at Audax Italiano in Chile right now. They need a left back with Brandon Vincent's retirement. So that would be a smart signing for the Fire, something we don't say very often, but that would be a good one. And then Dallas. This is going to be a challenge. Dallas is linked to a forward from the Czech Republic. He's got a great nickname. Zdeněk Ondrasik. 29 years old. Ondrasik. Zdeněk Ondrasik, the Cobra.
I was hoping it was going to be Odrasic, because Zdeněk Odrasic just sounds like, I don't know, like Slavic Irish kid who just made it big.
It's going to be awkward. I'm going to have to practice. He is the second leading scorer in Poland this season with Wisła Krakow. And the problem is the club's in financial problems. And he mentioned on Twitter that he hasn't been paid in 4 months. So Dallas is trying to get the Cobra to come in and lead the line, and they struggled for a forward. You never could quite get that in the last couple of years. So that's another smart move for Dallas. Dallas and Chicago going off the board a little bit and pulling out some interesting surprise rumors that we'll see if they get these deals done.
I need a Cobra Kai Tifo then. If that happens, I need a Cobra Kai Tifo to celebrate the heroes that are Dallas. I really want to see what Dallas looks like this year. I have so many questions about Dallas.
That's a good one. I like this. Cobra Kai and Dallas, I can support this. Dallas did hire their new manager, Luchi Gonzalez. That was announced yesterday on Twitter. He'll be introduced at a press conference today. Former academy director, this is his first professional gig. That's something that was tweeted yesterday that really grabbed my attention. Dallas, with their last few hires as manager, really have not valued professional head coaching experience. Let's go all the way back to Colin Clark. 3 years in the A-League prior to going to Dallas. Steve Morrow took over when Clark left. Morrow had no coaching experience outside of being Clark's assistant. He never managed again after leaving Dallas. Shellis Heineman, SMU. Legend at SMU, legend in the college game, no professional experience coming in. Oscar Pareja had 2 years of experience with Colorado before coming in. Luchi Gonzalez, 0. 5 coaches under the Hunt family that have been hired by FC Dallas with a total of 5 seasons of pro head coaching experience. That's thanks to Third Degree on Twitter, Third Degree Net, great Dallas resource. It feels like a move that makes sense looking at this history, John, but it's also a move that you wonder how long it's going to take Luchi Gonzalez to get up to speed.
Yeah, that for me, in going back and looking through the history of FCD, knowing that this was a part of their hiring DNA, that with this kind of a transition, do you give it to the quarter pole? I mean, traditionally what I do with any kind of a coaching hire is give it to the quarter pole to figure out who you are as a club. What your season's going to be, what you're going to look like, what things are going to be on the field, off the field, DNA makeup, all that kind of stuff. But if you're a fan of FC Dallas, are you going to be that patient and get to game 9 or 10 and sit there and say, okay, I'll be patient and then figure out what's going to happen from game 10 on? I don't know how many people are going to be that patient when it comes to FC Dallas, especially with a new coach there. I mean, I would be, but I don't know how many others are going to be.
They're going to have to be. I mean, if you're going to be impatient after 9 games with a guy with no professional coaching experience, you need to reassess what your expectations are coming in. It's going to take him time. And honestly, I think that outside of very specific circumstances, that's way too short of a period of time to judge a coach. Atlanta, maybe a little bit different. You bring somebody in and he struggles out of the gate, you just won a championship. There are going to be big questions. There's going to be big expectations. The Galaxy are a different type of club. There's going to be expectations, maybe a little bit more than 9-10 games, but there are going to be those expectations because of who the Galaxy are and what they've done.
Right.
Dallas, they don't have that. So you have to come in and have a little more patience because this team right now is not a championship contender on the field. They're not. And the changes that they're making and where they're going to, it sounds like a much younger core on the roster. If you're having those heavy expectations after 9-10 games, you don't know what your club's doing because they're not looking to be a competitor for a trophy in 2019. They're looking to go youth, go young, build young talent, and that's going to take time. So Luchi Gonzalez, as somebody who has worked with these young talents coming through, makes sense in that regard. Absolutely does. Yep. How is he going to handle the pressure of going from academy director to first-team manager? And that's what we'll have to wait and see. But I think he's going to get plenty of time to do it.
Dallas is also a weird place in the sense that I think he could struggle. You could see a season where he kind of floats because this team is young; it's not there yet.
Well, you're going to go younger. That's what you have to keep in mind. They've been young; they're going even younger now.
They kind of float around the playoff line, maybe below it. But this is Dallas we're talking about. I mean, if he gets into like a U.S. Open Cup final, I think you can still. With that situation, you can still call it a success.
You can 100% call that a success. Yeah.
Especially because it's Dallas and the importance that the Cup is played with the Hunt family.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody has to keep in mind about Dallas. You can't even compare him to the last couple of years of Dallas because you're going to go homegrown, young, developing talent all the way now, not halfway, all the way. You're not going to have your Maxi Urrutis. You're not going to have your Malbro Diaz's. You're not going to have your Tesho Akindelis. You're going to have Paxton Pomykal. You're going to have your young players who you've developed and give them the keys and say, let's go see what we have. That's a bold move that we really haven't seen happen in this league. So I don't think there is a basis for comparison here. And I think the Hunt family is not going to be impatient when it comes to Luchi Gonzalez. If he has a bad first year, I don't think you're going to have an issue. I think it's going to be strictly about what is that progress year to year, and are the players going to move forward? Are you developing talent? And is the club going to eventually move forward? But I think if they miss the playoffs, don't make an Open Cup run, have a bad year record-wise this season, but you see lots of minutes for young talent, and you see progress, Luchi Gonzalez will be fine. I think that's what you're looking for in Dallas this year.
What I'm looking forward to is the integration with North Texas. I want to see what the new franchise helps out FCD as well. I want to see what North Texas does with that whole thing, with FC Dallas.
But, I mean, it just fits with what you're doing. So you're going to go young. Yeah. You're going to have minutes for these players across 2 different clubs. That's what you're doing. So it would have helped Oscar Pareja more. I think it would have helped him integrate young talent faster if you had the USL team before. You didn't. Now it just fits with what you're doing. But you're going young at the first team level. So now I'm curious to see what you do with North Texas. Like, is it mostly academy guys with a few USL veterans and guys who aren't good enough for your first team? Is that the way you go? I think it is, because you're going League One, too. I think it's going to be very young. It's going to be mostly academy players playing there as you're preparing them for homegrown deals. I think it's going to look more like Toronto than other second teams.
So we can do this either now or after the break. I have questions about the other team in Texas, about what we expect from Houston in 2019.
Oh, let's let that marinate for a minute. And we will take a break, and we will come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket, you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Overreaction Monday, December 17th. Looking back at overreactions you want to take back from 2018 and looking ahead to overreactions as you look into 2019. Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jarrett Smith with you this morning. Jarrett gave us something to marinate on over the break. Houston Dynamo, what are their expectations going into 2019? What do you think, Jarrett?
I think you said it best. They've got to be a playoff team. This is a team that is 2 years removed from being in the Western Conference Final and being in just a Chernobyl-like meltdown in said Western Conference Final after you went into Portland and won an elimination game, basically, the second leg of a playoff game in Portland. You went in as a team that still does not know how to win on the road consistently. You went and won in Portland in the playoffs, and then everything was going well. And then you played Seattle, and the wheels didn't fall off. They caught on fire. And they exploded one by one. But it's a team that won the U.S. Open Cup last year. They still have a lot of talent, young and old. They've managed to find that nice mix. DeMarcus Beasley is still playing professionally. He will continue to play professionally until we inevitably get, Alan Carlton's testimonial for the U.S. national team in 40 years. He'll find a place. He's not going anywhere. Until he's not playing, I'm just going to assume he's there. But this is a team that, they won the U.S. Open Cup. They've got a lot of talent. I mean, you've got a manager that seems to have figured it out after the dark days of Owen Coyle and Bad News Barrett. But, it's great that you got things turned around, but eventually you got to get out of neutral. And winning the U.S. Open Cup was big. You got a little help from Philadelphia, but never reject help from another team in a cup. But I think they got to take another step forward this year. I don't blame them for getting restless if they don't.
Other folks chiming in here. Mike Valverde says, my overreaction with 2018 Atlanta United was based on the lack of speed in the back three. Obviously, their experience and discipline won the day. Flawless for the playoffs. Glad to be wrong on that one at Soccer Down here.
Yeah, they had speed. I wasn't too worried about that lack of speed because of a guy like LGP who can cover it. Garza, Ambrose, all of your options on the left side outside of McCann had speed. And Franco Escobar has ridiculous speed.
Also on the board, Chandler Creel, and his tweet is getting some traction here in the timeline this morning. His reaction for 2019, Zlatan, quote, end quote, retires from soccer mid-2019, citing, quote, knee issues, end quote, after LA Galaxy becomes a sub-500 team.
Oh, we'll see. I hope not, but we'll see. Yeah.
Such optimism. Sherbs, other fans overreacting to our atmosphere don't understand that our front office actually likes us and takes in feedback. They're implementing our ideas, but other fans can't fathom ever talking to their front office. Our president has been in pubs talking to us for 4 years.
There's a lot to unpack from that one. Other front offices need to learn from that too, that it's okay to have a good relationship with your supporters, and I don't know if all of them do and value supporters' input. Luckily, here in Atlanta, they have from day one. It's a different size stadium, so you have to present things differently. Your game day production has to be different if you're comparing Atlanta to Dallas. It's a massive difference. You can't do the things that Atlanta does in Dallas. It would look out of place. You can't do the things that Dallas does in Atlanta because it's not big enough. You can't do the things that Portland does in Atlanta because it's not big enough. It's not going to work in that big venue. That's just a fact. So you have to do it differently. What I keep coming back to is the idea that having a large crowd is a bad thing. I don't understand that. I just really don't get it. It's what every fan base and every club should be striving for, not trying to poke holes through. Look, Atlanta United has built something that's very special and is a good thing for the league overall. Other clubs are benefiting from what Atlanta United's done. That's a good thing. Hopefully, Atlanta doesn't stand out as much down the road, and other clubs have something like this, because that would be a good thing for the league too. But I just keep coming back to the fact that there are all kinds of questions, worries, concerns, criticisms about having a big crowd, and that's insane to me. That's what we've wanted for so long in this game, in this country, and in this league, and now that you have it, oh, that's not good. Why is that not good? Why? What are you really? Why? Oh, the atmosphere is different. The atmosphere is great. It's very Atlanta. It fits the building. It fits the club. It fits the fan base. Just because you judge it differently from the outside, that's silly. Do the best that you can do. Portland, do the best you can do. Stop writing blogs and doing that. It makes your fan base, which is a great fan base, look silly. Other clubs, other fan bases, worry about your fan base. Worry about making your club atmosphere as good as it can be. That's what's important. You're not going to affect Atlanta. You're not going to change what Atlanta's doing. What Atlanta's doing is working in Atlanta. That's the whole goal here. Portland should do what works in Portland. Seattle should do what works in Seattle. Dallas should do what works in Dallas. Do it. And the biggest thing I'm going to take from Sherbs, and I don't know if that was exactly the intention, front offices need to work to create a good relationship and a collaborative relationship with their supporters. I think Atlanta has done that from day one, and it's paid off. I hope other clubs will follow suit.
I'm still trying to figure out.
Thoughts, John?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, I'm still trying to figure out why folks want to constrict their own growth. and the growth of the league, the growth of what's going on around them. Why stay in a hyper-protective bubble when things in the sport are increasing and growing, and you have an opportunity to improve, or not improve, but just grow your footprint, grow your fan base, grow everything around the sport itself? Is it the fear of failure because of what has happened with leagues in the past here in the Americas that are keeping this idea of retraction and stunting your own growth here in the consciousness? I mean, is that it? Is everybody staring at leagues that have fallen apart in the past and sitting there and said, we don't want that to happen again, so we're just going to stay here in our little cocoon and not try to have things grow forward? I mean, I'm still confused over the notion of why you're not wanting to grow things and be the best you can be, instead of staying where you are and missing out on an opportunity.
Atlanta built this early on, playing off of all the seeds that had been planted over the years, and built something from day one that was going to be big and bigger than anything we've seen in this league. It's not like it went from 20,000 to 70,000 overnight. There's been a foundation built. So this has staying power. Will you see numbers dip if the team goes through a rough patch? Yeah, because that's professional sports. But this whole thought about, well, the NASL grew so quickly and it died, that's not what's happening here. Oh, Atlanta's looking like the cosmos. No, that's not what's happening here. Like, none of that's going on here. So if you're going to cite that stuff, then do your research, do your homework, and understand it. The NASL did not have the foundations that are available in American soccer right now. The NASL was always unstable. Even when it was growing, it was unstable. MLS has not had any instability since Miami and Tampa Bay went away after the 2001 season. It's been steady growth since then. It's going to continue to be steady growth, maybe slightly more rapid than we thought. Maybe it's going to go to 32, and you're going to see teams come in a little quicker because the time is right. It is a special time to take advantage of this, and none of it would happen without that past history. But MLS is built to be unlike the North American Soccer League back in the day, and even the second North American Soccer League. Comparing it to instability at the lower division level, it's not the same world. It's not. Like saying that, well, the San Francisco Delta's failed, so that means soccer in the United States isn't as stable as you think. That's two completely different things. That's like saying because the mom and pop restaurant down the street closed that McDonald's is about to go out of business. It's two different things. And I know people will take that to say that, oh, I'm comparing MLS to McDonald's and that's a bad thing. It's a different world, okay? Like that's the whole point here. MLS and what's happening at the lower divisions is a different world. MLS and what happened with the North American Soccer League, different world. You have a different set of circumstances that makes MLS successful in what it is right now. And it is successful. It is. Now is an opportunity to grow and build upon that success and take it to another level.
Jarrett, what do you think about what's been going on here with what Sherb's put on the table?
I think I'm more upset than anything, honestly, because you had a really fun MLS Cup for Atlanta's perspective. And I think from Portland's perspective, you had a really fun season that was kind of weird. But I think if you're Portland, your walk away from this should be, we lost, but no one thought we would be there. And we've still got the pieces to get back next year. Nice work, Atlanta. We'll see you next year, hopefully in our house. Just the amount of like Cypress salt mine that has happened is just aggravating to me. And, you know, whether it has to be with, you know, how many people show up in an Atlanta United game, you know, whether or not first off, like, look, it's great. 70,000 people is great. Even when it's 45,000, even when it was, you know, Kennesaw State last year, when you're filling out Kennesaw State Stadium, which they can't even do. That team's been to 2 straight quarterfinals in the FCS playoff with a 30,000 student base. They can't even fill out that stadium. You did it for U.S. Open Cup. They're not used to seeing that many people there. I'm hoping we see the numbers go up with the twos this year if they're going to be up there on that circuit. But look, if your response to 70,000 is, man, we don't know if they're going to be able to keep doing that. Look, for me, it goes back to what Train said about, the NLS narrative. And next year, I'm just going to enjoy this. Yes. Thank you. Good. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy this. Does it last forever? I don't know. I can't see the future. All I know is right now, it's a lot of fun. A lot of stadiums in this league are a lot of fun. They do things differently. There's no uniform answer onto how to set up a stadium and to have an atmosphere. Portland has a great atmosphere out there. I will still call it Geldwin Field, and I'll die on that hill. Seattle does their thing. LAFC, despite the throwing things, which Atlanta had that problem too, so, don't play high and mighty with that. Everyone does their thing. You've got a lot of fun atmospheres. There's no uniform on the atmosphere. Get off the high horse, get off the pedestal, and just enjoy the fact that the league's growing and everyone's got their unique atmosphere. You want to joke about it, that's fine. You want to make memes about it? Cool. Don't just climb the hill and die on it that someone else is doing it wrong because it's different.
Here's what I'll say about one thing you said. If people are looking at Atlanta having a lot of fans and saying, oh, I don't know if this is sustainable, tell me why. Because there's not a valid reason. There's not. You're not seeing this slide. You're not seeing MLS struggle to keep the doors open. You're not seeing these things. The league is in a different place going forward. If you're saying that, you're just saying it to either say it or you're saying it based off of erroneous information. So this is an opportunity for soccer in this country to continue to grow, and especially over the next 8 years ahead of a World Cup that will be in the United States. It's a great opportunity to look forward and not be afraid. That's what I want American soccer to stop being, is afraid. Stop the inferiority complex. Stop the fear. If people don't get it, try to explain it to them. If they still don't get it, smile and move on. I mean, when I see like crazy things like, I believe it was in the article from England that talked about Atlanta United's growth and said it heard some fans say, oh, they wouldn't beat Bury, which I don't even know what division they're in right now. No, you're not paying attention if you think that. Look, MLS is at a good level. It is continuing to grow. It is an opportunity to take the next level and be among the best leagues in the world. And there's no reason why it can't be. So stop being worried. Enjoy it. Enjoy what's going on. If other people don't get it, it's their loss. It's on them. It's all good. Let's take our final break because we're up against it now. Final call for your overreactions, underreactions, on-par reactions. Is there an overreaction you want to take back from 2018? Are you having an overreaction looking ahead to 2019? Share it with us on Twitter at @SoccerDownHere. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Final segment. Soccer Down Here, Overreaction Monday, December 17th. Juan Agudelo is re-signed with the New England Revolution. He says it is a 4-year deal. Let's make sure on that. Juan Instagrammed his announcement. No, he didn't say it's a 4-year deal. He said he's enjoyed being part of the league's growth over the last 4 years and looking forward to being part of this over the coming years. I hope
multi-year contract. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's coming years. I figured would be multi. So, just saying.
Yes. Yes.
I hope he plays because I'm tired of watching Juan Agudelo be a bench warmer for the Revolution. I think he has the talent to play more. I don't know what the issue is, but got to play him more.
Quoting Revs GM Michael Burns, Juan has been an integral member of our team over the last 5 years. Ensuring he remained here in New England was a priority for us this offseason. We believe his best years as a player are still ahead of him. We look forward to seeing Juan in a Revs jersey in 2019 and beyond. End quote.
Just hope he plays.
Let's see. Also in the queue, host of Soccer Over There, Nick Alifi. FC Dallas is making a good hire, but a non-competitive hire. This goes back to MLS looking more like NBA. Some teams see the Warriors and compete. Some tank and reload slowly.
No, it's different, Nick. Because NBA, you're tanking to get a high draft pick. Here, you're not tanking for anything like that. You're not tanking. You're deciding. Non-competitive, I think, is a valid point. Because you're not tanking to reload. Your academy, you can load and reload all you want all day long, and that's what they're going to do. I think they're looking at it in a different way. They're looking at what you see at a smaller club in the Netherlands, for example. You're looking at what you see out of a smaller club in France, a club that is going to develop its own talent and move it on and sell it and bring money in, and that's what they're going to do. And when you get the right generation together, maybe they can be competitive for a year, for 2 years. That's going to be the challenge for them, is being able to sustain being competitive. So I wouldn't compare it at all to the NBA. It's a different setup because Atlanta United can load and reload their academy and still win championships. Dallas is just taking the international players and big money signings out of the equation, and they're going to hand the keys over to the guys they're producing. We'll see, I think, truly with this, how good Dallas's academy is in terms of developing professionals.
Chandler Creel with another overreaction. Jarrett, and he uses the hashtag, is that still a thing? Chandler says Joseph gets his own Wheaties box cover next year.
Well, he already told Felipe to take down the giant Falcon statue and build his statue. I think he'll take that over a box of Wheaties. Which is, for my money, the best answer an Atlanta sports player has given to a question in a very long time. I'm waiting for them to take down that giant Falcon. Just put me up instead. Yeah, sure. I'm here for this. When's the last time we had an Atlanta sports star dominate his sport in such a way?
I don't think we ever have.
Nope. Don't think we have. Vic was electric, but he wasn't dominant.
Vic would have been the closest one over the run he had in this way. I mean, to say that Joseph Martinez is dominating his sport's a different conversation because of just how soccer is. Dominating his league, for sure. And I think the other part of it, I mean, Greg Maddux dominated the National League, but Maddux didn't have the personality that Joseph has. So it's the combination of the success, the championship, the swagger that is unique.
And Snowman chimes in here. He says, at the beginning of 2018, we all thought the Four Horsemen would all start together and lead us to Cup glory.
Yeah, it's his overreaction he'd like to take back, I'm assuming. So
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody thought. That was how it lined up. And due to injury, due to circumstance, you never really got to see that. Still won a championship. That's what good teams do.
Then Sherb says, yes, from talking with fans of other teams and supporters groups, they view it as a constant fight with the front office as opposed to a collaborative effort. In my opinion, it's not solely their front office's fault, but also their attitude, as simple as a graphic tied to the TIFO, is unfathomable.
Yeah, it's Sherb's following from tweet to our conversation. Now back to this.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, it's all the way around. I mean, to be a good supporters group doesn't mean you're fighting with your front office and you hate everybody there, because that's kind of silly. Seen that far too often. To be a good front office doesn't mean you're keeping your supporters group from having their own identity. Your supporters are your advocates out there, and I think in MLS it's even more different than in other parts of the world, because there is still a legacy of supporters groups going out and marketing the team in some ways, because you are still doing that. You're trying to attract new fans. You're trying to bring new people into the mix. So it makes complete sense to have your supporters on board and happy with the way things are going, because they're the ones you're going to talk to their friends and recruit people and bring people out. It's not rocket science. It's not. Have a good relationship with the supporters group. If you're the front office, if you're the supporters group, you're going to be able to do more stuff if you have a good relationship with the front office. Find the common ground. Find it and work towards it. And that's what Atlanta's been able to do, honestly, from day one. And that's a credit to Atlanta's front office, but also the leadership of the supporters groups to be able to not be just about themselves and to be about what's best for the collective. And that's the club, that's the fans, that's the supporters group members, that's all of it. It's good to see that finally starting to change. Hopefully other markets can do the same.
Yes. And Joe Boss says his new overreaction was that it was R. Williams today instead of Bruce Buffer when he greeted the show. He says he guesses he needs a new phone to get things across.
Ah, very nice. Any other rumors we have? Any other things we need to talk about? One from D.C. We didn't get into this yet. Stephen Goff reports that Yamil Assad's return to D.C. United is 50-50, which is different than what we had originally seen. The transfer fee is less than $1 million from Vélez Sarsfield. DC's trying to negotiate that down or spread it over a number of years. I think it's all cap-related, all allocation money-related. But to see that Goff says the return is 50-50, that was surprising to me. It felt kind of like you're just trying to get numbers to match up and work for your budget. I was surprised to see it. DC would be crazy if they go into 2019 and allow Luciano Acosta to leave and Yamil Assad not to come back, because then you're back to square one. I mean, Wayne Rooney can't do everything himself.
And calm your horses down in case you're, an Atlanta fan freaking out about Yamil Assad not signing in DC.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah.
I just don't want. It's not that I'm trying to tell you not to have fun. I just don't want to see anyone get hurt.
There's nowhere for him to play. It doesn't fit here. It's okay. He was a great player for the first season of this club. He moved on to a place where he was going to get more playing time. He had a good year. He increased his value. Hopefully, he can continue to get as much money as he deserves and play the way we know he can. But you're not going to play him over a Barco. You're not going to play him here moving forward. Exactly. There's ways to make it work. He doesn't fit into this team as it is currently constructed heading into 2019. It just does not fit. Lower division stuff before we go. Nipun Chopra tweeted from Sock Takes that the U.S. Soccer Federation has sanctioned the USL Championship as a Division II league. They have provisionally sanctioned USL League One as a Division III league. They've asked for more information on NISA before making a decision. NISA doesn't start until the fall of 2019, so they have time. Chris Kivlahan in Midfield Press says that 6 more teams could join the NISA ahead of the 2019 season if they get that sanctioning. Kartik Krishnaiyer said Florida was a big part of that, and there's, I guess, a big Florida team that would be separate from this 6, and they could come in any time and be announced. So NISA, everything's been a little vague with them. Not really surprised that the Federation wanted more information. Hopefully they get it, and NISA can launch. I mean, you've got a number of teams who want to take this into a certain direction. Hopefully they have enough in place to be able to do it. And I'd be very curious to see it. And Atlanta is part of the original 8. So don't know the ownership group, don't know where they'd play, don't know any details, which is a little scary if they're going to launch in August or September of 2019. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens. I hope U.S. Soccer can find a way to get it done for all these leagues and let them have a chance to succeed or fail. I think starting from scratch and starting with waivers is a different conversation than where the North American Soccer League, when they were denied sanctioning, was, because they had waivers, they had relief from waivers and requirements, and they never improved. And honestly, they were sliding the other way. So it was time to go on that one. Let's see if NISA can get off the ground first.
And let's see, I'm trying to look at the other things. I honestly, more than anything, I just like saying Przemysław Titon. That's what I like to do today on Monday.
Your new goalkeeper in Cincinnati.
Yep. Actually saw his work when he was at Deportivo La Coruña. And so it's I want to see how Titon works in MLS, but FCC has their keeper, and I know that we're all going to be stumbling over Przemysław for the entire 2018 season. Just say Titon, you got it made.
Yep. A few names that going to have to put in some work as we get into the preseason, but we've got a little bit of time to do that. That's it for a Monday. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday Thoughts. If you have any, go ahead and start sending them our way on Twitter, @SoccerDownHere. We'll be back at 9 a.m. on SoccerDownHere.net, on your SDH app, and on Spreaker. Thanks for listening. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha Titon, y'all.